All right, guys. So as I stated before, the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, they're freaking out about polls like this that are actually coming from the mainstream liberal media.
With just 3 weeks until the midterms and Republicans slamming Democrats over the economy and record inflation, President Biden tonight trying to amplify the politically divisive issue of abortion rights, urging voters to keep Democrats in control of Congress.
Here's the promise I make to you and the American people. The first bill that I will send to the Congress will be to codify Roe v. Wade.
But some Democrats fear the potency of that message may be waning. Tonight, a new poll shows 44% of likely voters cite the economy or inflation as the number one problem facing the country, while just 5% list abortion as their top issue. And now Republicans have a 4-point lead when voters are asked which party's candidate they'd support.
Yeah, so the mainstream liberal media and the Democrats are freaking out about this reality that their political lightning rod issue that they got after Roe v. Wade was overturned is not really what people actually care about. Specifically, it's not something that women care about enough. And this is what the genital grifters, who also happen to be the race hustlers as well too, of the Democrat Party are so upset about. Genital grifters like Reid goes as far as to say women are brainwashed into believing that the economy / inflation is more important than abortion. Take a look.
The midterm election is now less than 3 weeks away. And in the final stretch, I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed, frankly, this gaslighting of women voters. This message that says, oh, you don't really care about your right to control your own bodies, dears. It's the economy, stupid. I mean, Republicans certainly want you to think that, and the Beltway media is helping push that narrative, with headlines touting recent polls, some with tiny, tiny sample sizes, suggesting that Republicans are surging. The red wave is back. We can go back to our pre-Dobbs narrative because the economy and inflation are the most important issues. The end. Add to that bad faith questions like this one President Biden took in on Wednesday.
Just hoping to clarify for midterm voters, top domestic issue, inflation or abortion?
All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing.
I mean, this may be news to Republicans and Fox News reporters, but women are part of the economy. Abortion is an economic issue.
Yeah, so genital hustler Reid argues that abortion is an economic issue, basically in the same vein that Stacey Abrams essentially said that abortion is an economic issue. It's the solution to inflation. If you're worried about inflation, just kill your babies, right? And if we're going to go with that line of logic, I would suggest if you're single and you don't have kids, do not ask the Democrats what they would suggest that you do in order to help with the cost of living, right? Don't ask Democrats that question, okay? Based off this line of logic that they're using to say that, abortion is the solution to inflation. I'm just saying, those of us who are single and worried about the cost of living, don't ask Democrats what they suggest that you do to remedy that issue, okay? So that being said, Reid is so upset that women don't care about what she thinks women should care about, that she platformed Eric Swalwell, who allegedly is out here, banging Chinese spies, in his ridiculous ad that suggests that women would be arrested in their houses simply for undergoing the procedure. Take a look.
A brand new digital ad from Congressman Eric Swalwell, debuting right here on the Readout, presents one possible chilling outcome of our post-Roe future.
You're weird.
He is weird, but cute.
Gross.
Mary Anderson?
Yes?
I have a warrant for your arrest.
Arrest for what?
Penal Code 243 violation. Unlawful termination of a pregnancy.
You gotta be kidding me.
That is my personal business.
That's for the courts to decide, ma'am. Your medical records have been subpoenaed, and Dr. Landry's already in custody.
No, my God, you can't just...
You will have to submit to a physical examination.
What? By who?
No one's touching me.
Ma'am, turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Now.
Why is this happening? Love you, honey bear.
We're just enforcing the law here.
Elections have consequences. Vote Democrat on November 8th. Stop Republicans from criminalizing abortion everywhere. Protect women's rights and freedom.
Please don't do this. Please.
Under his eye. Joining me now is Congressman Eric Swalwell, the Democrat from California, behind that new ad. And Congressman, it's a chilling ad. This is only the second time I've watched it, and it makes my heart race every time I watch it. Tell me about the origins of this ad.
Yeah, currently there are no state laws that would send a woman to prison for having an abortion. But again, don't let the facts get in the way of the narrative here. Joy Reid, of course, did not ask Eric Swalwell, why in the world would you run an ad like this when there are no laws that actually send women to prison for having an abortion? Don't worry about that, right? Because what they're actually ready to do here, if/when the Democrats lose in the midterms, that they're ready to blame women, right? They're ready to blame women, more specifically white women. And if you don't believe me, just listen to Joy Reid Light, Miss Tiffany D. Cross, basically sit down and talk with a panel of white women, liberal white women, on why white women are the problem when it comes to this abortion issue in America. Take a look.
So I want to kick it off with you because Republican voting white women, like we just talked about, most certainly helped pave the way for abortion rights to be obliterated. And white women have narrowly favored the Republican presidential candidate for the better part of 70 years. We just talked about the support for Trump in 2016 and 2020. That was not an aberration. That was a continuation of a long-standing pattern. So why do you think the bulk of this group stays loyal to a party that does not serve their interests?
Well, I think the first thing it's important to understand is that white women are the largest kind of race-gender combination voting bloc. In 2016, they were 41% of the electorate. That's a bigger voting bloc than white men. It's a much bigger voting bloc than black women, black men, Hispanic women, Hispanic men. So I think it's very important to understand that among this huge voting bloc, you kind of have to break it down into subgroups in order to really understand it. And the reality is that white women who have been able to enjoy the fruits of feminist progress, who have gotten higher education, who have been able to stay single for longer, who have been able to delay childbearing, who live in big cities, those women tend to vote for Democrats. They do vote in their own interests. What you see on the conservative side, women who tend to vote for people like Donald Trump despite allegations and do in fact vote against the interests of women more broadly, I think is a sense that being respected for being a traditional woman is safer, is better than having to kind of go at it on your own. I think there's a lot of affiliation with racial status. It is part of what grants, white women, whether you're liberal or conservative, a large degree of privilege in society. And there are a lot of white women who really want to hang on to that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And this is why I call them the genital grifters, right? Because just like the race hustlers, they love telling women who they should vote for or what is in their best interest based off their genitalia, right? Oh, it is in your best interest to vote Democrat, right? It's in your best interest to support the alleged right to abortion, right? And if you don't support us, if you don't support the Democrat Party, then you're not a real woman, right? Listen to how they, went after Amy Coney Barrett, right? They attacked Amy Coney Barrett's womanhood, right? They attacked her womanhood because she doesn't agree with the Democrat Party, which she's not a real woman, right? She's actually fighting against women. She's against women. They do this to black conservatives, right? They say, look, you guys, because you don't agree with the Democrat Party, you're not really black. In fact, you are the black face of white supremacy. You are white supremacists in disguise. Essentially, what they're telling white women, right, who don't agree with the Democrat Party on this issue is that, well, you're not really a woman. In fact, you're being brainwashed. You're being gaslit. Okay, you're being gaslit into believing that the economy is more important than abortion. And you could not have come to this conclusion on your own because it's impossible. It is impossible for a woman to not see this issue as important, right? There are no women out there that are not spreading their legs for every man, having unprotected sex, not using birth control, or that simply are, above the age range in which they actually can reproduce and have kids. No. This issue is near and dear to every woman. And the only logical explanation for why you're not on board with this is simply because you've been brainwashed. You've been tricked. Okay? And who have you been tricked by? You've been tricked by men, right? You've been tricked by your husband.
There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her.
It's the patriarchy, right? It's the patriarchy, right? Women can't come to this conclusion on their own. But let's actually give the Democrats, the liberals, the benefit of the doubt here. And let's just say, yeah, it is women listening to men, listening to their husbands, right? And my rebuttal to that would be, okay, well, if that's the case, what's wrong with that? What is wrong with a woman that listens to her husband and is influenced by her husband? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think that's how it's supposed to be. I think women are supposed to be primarily influenced by their husbands. They're supposed to look up to their husbands for advice, guidance, and wisdom. That's how it's supposed to be. But see, these ultra feminists out here, they don't believe that. And that's why they're so flabbergasted, right? They're so surprised. They can't believe that women don't want to get on board with them when it comes to this issue of abortion. And the only explanation they can come to, right, in regards to why they don't want to get on board with them when it comes to this issue is that, well, they must be influenced by their husbands, right? It must be the patriarchy. They have to be brainwashed. They're being gaslit because ultimately they don't want you to listen to men, right? They don't want a man to have any influence whatsoever over what his woman does. They want women to be influenced by other radical women, feminist types like Joy Reid or Tiffany Cross, who either are not in relationships, they don't have men in their lives, or the men that they do have in their lives are simps, right? That's what they want, which is why we have so much chaos, right? That's why we have so much chaos because, again, you have a lot of these women out here who believe they can be men. They don't need any guidance from a man. They don't need a man in their life. And again, that has led us to a lot of some of the chaos that we do have in society. But the main point of this video here, guys, is that aren't you getting tired of the Democrats trying to tell you who you are based off whether or not you vote for them, right? They question your womanhood. They question your race, right? They even question your sexuality. Look how they're treating gays against groomers, right? They question all of that, your identity, based off whether or not you vote for them. There's not been one time I've ever come on my channel, right? I've done thousands of videos. I've never come on my channel and told somebody you ain't really black if you don't vote conservative, or if you don't vote Republican, or that you ain't really a man, right? You ain't a real man if you don't vote Republican. Real men vote conservative. Real men vote Republican. I would never say that because that's silly, right? Your identity in regards to who you are as a person, when we're talking about your sexuality, your sex, your race, skin color, whatever, none of that is defined by your political ideology. None of it, okay? And nobody has to vote for a certain party because of those characteristics. That should not be a thing. But again, the race hustlers and the genital grifters of America, they want to make sure that you vote for a certain party based off your identity that has nothing to do with politics. And that is probably the most toxic part about the identity politics that has been pushed by the Democrat Party. This is what conservatives mean when we say that we don't like the toxic identity politics. It's the idea that you have to vote for somebody based off your identity, right? That has nothing to do with political ideology at all. That's where the toxicness comes in, right? Because again, these women are assuming that other women can't come to this. You cannot, as a woman, think for yourself. You can't come to the conclusion that, you know what, I'm against this, right? That I think that this is wrong to take life. I think it's wrong. You can't come to that conclusion as a woman. Again, it's insulting. It's offensive. It's almost like these people who are pro-women's rights are actually not pro-women's rights. They're actually just pro-progressive, right? They're pro-Democrat. Same way these so-called pro-black people aren't really pro-black. They're actually really just pro-progressive. They're pro-Democrat because when it comes to issues like crime that are affecting black people, that seems to be a primary issue for black people in these inner cities. These so-called pro-black want to push a progressive agenda that's going to make crime worse, right? That's actually not going to be in the best interest of maintaining safety in these neighborhoods where black people live. But they'll turn around and tell you, though, if you disagree with us, you're a white supremacist. You're against black folks if you want to actually save black lives, right? Again, it's absolutely incredible how this stuff works. And the unfortunate reality is that it has worked for the Democrats. However, I think the jig is up, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, as they all know, the economy is what is most important. And I don't think the Democrats trying to distract from the economy with all these other side issues that really aren't that important or near to dear to Americans as their wallets. I don't think that this strategy is going to work. But hey, we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.